Enjoying your thesis. How's it going? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
I love your hairstyle, though. Very, very.
Let me tell you, it's a hack. This thing is a hack.
Are you kidding me?
If I feel like, oh my god, my hair is a mess and I don't know what to do, this is what I do. It takes 30 seconds.
What about people that don't have hair?
Sorry.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you on.
Yeah, really.
I can't see OG's face. I don't know how you guys are going to do this.
Not better?
My face is like we can hear your voice and then you can see my face.
Babe, if they say we're doing makeup like this, I would have done something, man.
Which makeup is that?
All I put is cream for this face.
I don't know, she's natural, fresh face.
Nah,
Thank you.
you're trying to make me look like a regular guy.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Because you're a regular guy, I'm the one that is. It is what it is. Like.
All right, so thanks so much for joining Omotayo. For those who don't know us, we're just gonna start now. For those who don't know us, but before marriage, and we help single Christians become the right people for marriage by showing them what marriage looks like when done God's way. The reason why we decided to do this live was because we just celebrated Christmas about 2.5 weeks ago. I know there's a popular phrase that people use is there is a reason for teeth, because a lot of people have started celebrating Christmas for the fun of it as opposed to why it was actually started. So I feel like there's a link there with single people as well, because I feel like a lot of single people don't realize that there's a reason for that season. Right, there's a lot of that. Hey, you got it. As in, you see the linkage. So there are a lot of single people who don't know why they're single, who don't know what to be doing in their single season. And so we decided to, bring an expert. You're an expert in consult. So we decided that's a true test of expertise.
And you have to create a word to show the level
of professionalism.
Yeah.
So we wanted to really help single people really understand the season that they're in and what they should be doing in this season. Because I put here that people are trying to pass the test of singleness by getting married.
I love that. I saw that in the caption.
Yeah, they're trying to, like, you can't be in JS3 and be trying to pass JS3 by entering university. You're going to form it out, So we brought one here to help a few people out. Motayo is the author of the book How to Be Single. I'm sure you've seen the book already, plastered everywhere on social media. You guys should stick around to the end. We might have a big surprise for you, or someone might be winning something. So whoever stays to the end of this live might get something. So at least that's the piece, So yeah, we got Omotayo on here. I mean, when we read the book, I don't know, I bought it when we did our live, and for some reason I kept on. I'm like, I'll read her book next. I'll read it next, and then another book will come up, and I'm like, But man, when I picked it up, I was like, geez. Like, number one, it was very relatable. You had a lot of stories on there that just made it very relatable. I love your writing style. I haven't written a book yet because I feel like people might not get it. I like the fact that you use as in, cha, and all those kind of things. Because that's right. And what you be telling me, you have to be funny. So anyway.
I did not tell you. Why are you lying? Oh my God, you are lying. Lying.
Wow.
As someone gets to say, you are a liar.
How do you guys like that?
Wow. I didn't say you have to be formal.
Okay. Anyway, this one, don't worry. We'll deal with this afterwards. Yeah. So let's get right into it. I didn't want to start off with tell us about it. This is not an interview. It's not a job interview. I usually hate that question when it comes to job interview. Anyway, so I know that I was reading the Bible. I think it was earlier this week or last week, and I came across, I believe it was Romans 6:16, where it was talking about how God was saying that when He comes back, He's going to be judging our secret life. Right. And in my mind, I was like, whoa, like, your secret life is not the thing that people see. A lot of us want to focus, really when it's the start of 2021, want to focus on what people can see, what my media goals, what am I going to do? But God isn't going to judge that. He's going to judge your intention and what motivated those actions. So our first question, because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. First question is, why did you write this book? Like, what was the motivation behind it?
Right. Well, I think that the sentence "how to be single" came to my head in like 2016 or 2017, and it's like I feel like I've spent my life, and this is really weird. I spent my life dreaming about marriage, living single, and saying all the right things and doing all the right things. So I realized the other day, it's like we all love romance novels, we all love romantic movies, we all love. A lot of people are scared of this book because of the title, because no one wants to learn how to be single. At the same time, everyone is still saying marriage is not everything. I don't care about marriage. I'm making my money. And it's like, what is this confusion? If you want your book to go viral, talk about why do men cheat. Same men are scum. Everybody's going to be on there. So clearly, people have a desire for relationship. People have a desire for connection. People have a desire for everything. But they don't want to admit it. And for as long as you are not admitting the truth, we're going to keep having these useless, pointless arguments of why do men cheat? Why do they not pick me? Why? And without any solution, because we don't really want to face the truth. And for me, I was like, why do men cheat? We can answer that question. If you really want to know the reason why that particular man cheated on you, you can ask him. He could probably tell you. If you want to hear the answer, do you want to have the conversation? Like, why did the last relationship break up? If you really want to know, you can probably find out the answer to that question. But do you really want to? Or would you rather just like brush it aside and just be like, oh, the perfect man would be like da 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 da. It's like, wait. Can we slow down? Can we go back to the basics? And for me, it was an unraveling of my own life that showed me that I was doing the same thing. I always wanted to be married, but I was ashamed of wanting to be married. So I started talking like everyone else, which means there's no big deal there. But then still wanting to be in a relationship. Oh, hook me up, go to the party, somebody get your number. And still having all of that. Then feeling hurt and rejected. But then feeling like, no, I don't need to. And then your life is just confused. And then I ended up in a relationship that was the perfect relationship I had asked for. I had a list of things I wanted. I got all of that. And in the end, it's like, well, I don't really want to really be here forever. Why? I didn't know the answer. I felt the conviction. I didn't know the answer. And even after that relationship ended, I was like, well, it's just a relationship. We'll probably find another one in a year. And then I now entered struggle of, but yeah, where's this person?
Where's the next one?
And in that process, I was now more intentional. I knew a little bit more about myself. If you've had something good and you didn't want it, then you can't just have another something good. Now you have to actually go and figure out, why do you want it? What do you want? Is there something wrong with the way you expect, what you expect from other people? What is really?
But that's even you being intentional, because a lot of people don't even stop to actually evaluate the situation. They usually just go on to the next one and keep on repeating the cycle. So I know that in I believe it was one of the earlier chapters of your book, you were asked, you sort of gave an illustration about to describe the state of single people, and you use broomsticks and fruits. Fruits and broomsticks. So can you share a bit about that, and what do you think? What's the word? What makes these two people, or these two single people, different? Like the broomstick and the fruits.
I've never used this illustration with props, but give me 2 seconds. I'm going to go and get a broomstick.
Nice. Okay. You guys, this illustration blew my mind. I was like, whoa, I've never seen it like this before. So let her illustrate. Who's here? Sheikumi is here. Hi, Sheikumi. Nice, nice.
Right. Ugh. I never have fruits in my house. It's really terrible.
Wow, perfect timing.
Yeah. All right. Fruits. I'm so excited, guys. So, when we use the word single, so it all started with me trying to define the word single. I was like, and I looked in the dictionary. I was like, do you know what? Let me not use what I think I know. Let me actually check what the meaning of single is. And I found that it was mostly like, you know, something that is alone, something that separates, something that doesn't have another. It was all in that context of something is missing. But a synonym of single is also whole. So the same way you say a single fruit, you can say a whole fruit. The same way you say a single pencil, you can say a whole pencil if you want to be kind of dramatic. And so I realized that single and whole are synonymous. They're not like, it's not a perfect comparison, but it refers to the same thing. And so I realized that when you say a single broomstick, this is what a single broomstick is. A single broomstick is lacking the remaining broomsticks in the bunch. A single broomstick, you can't really use this to do anything. But when you say a single fruit, you mean a whole fruit. A fruit that is complete. This fruit does not need anything else to qualify it, does not need anything else to make it valuable. In and of itself, it is whole, it is complete. And then I found this verse, James, this verse that chased me, and it says, you know, let patience have its perfect work, so that you will be whole, perfect and complete, lacking nothing. And I was like, that's what this represents to me. This is perfect and complete.
Wow.
It can do everything it needs to do.
It has everything on the inside. It has everything on its inside.
Literally. However, this single broomstick is actually useless. You can't do much with it. And so when we see ourselves as single, we normally see ourselves as single broomsticks. Like, we need somebody else. I need someone else. If I don't have anyone else, my life is incomplete. But God started off by giving me that picture of a whole fruit. I'm not a single broomstick. I'm like a single fruit that is whole and perfect and complete, and it lacks nothing. But the thing about this is that if I still don't understand that I am whole, because this is how I see myself, then I'll keep looking for things to complete me. And so the whole journey of how to be single is recognizing that this is more like what we look like.
Yeah.
And this is what we need to develop. So take care of the fruits, take care of what is inside, you know, recognize the value of it so that you know how to use it. If you throw a broomstick on the floor, you can kick it around. But if you throw a fruit on the floor, no, you're like, no, it's valuable now, don't spoil it. Because the way you use yourself is completely different. And so most people need to move. Like, this is not you. There's nothing in here.
I feel like this is how the fruit is how we are, but the broomstick is how we see ourselves.
Yes, exactly.
So a lot of single people, you need to then realize who you are as opposed to who you've told yourself you are, which sort of brings me.
And everything has told you you are.
Exactly. Which sort of brings me to the next question. Or OG has questions for you. I'm just the one introducing the whole thing. So let me get through my own part.
I'm the professor here.
He's the professor here. So yeah, so the fruit is how we are, the broomstick is how we see ourselves, or how society has conditioned us to see ourselves. And as I was reading your story, there was a part where you were talking about how when you were younger, you used to sing. I don't know how living with you must have been. Oh my goodness! Like, you sing, you dance, you're acting.
They chopped it.
You're acting and you're doing all these things, but at some point in your life, you felt like you had lost it. All of a sudden, you just woke up one day like, wait, like I used to do this thing before. What happened? And it reminded me of because we watched The Notebook a few weeks ago. Like, I've watched it like 20 times in my life. You know, it's the best movie. So remember when the girl was like, what happened? I used to eat. Like, I never, like, And so, for some reason, like it just occurred to her like years later that I used to do this thing. And Romans, I believe it's John 10:10 that says that the enemy only comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And I feel like one of the enemy's biggest strategies is he's going to steal what you have before you know you have it. Because how do you know you've lost something if you never even knew it there? So what the enemy wants to do early on in our lives is to steal it from our future, but we haven't even found our future in our present. So hey, what do they call a P flow, a P flow moment right now? P flow moment.
Yes.
So my question now is, looking back now, like how do you think the enemy stole from you in using relationships, and how do you think he's stealing from other single people right now?
Right. So this part is the part that God and I still need to really have this full conversation. But I couldn't avoid it in the book because what it connected to for me was abuse. Now, I hate talking about abuse. I'm one of those people who's like, ugh, like we're all sad. It happens to everyone. Can we all move on? And I still, no lies, I still did not confront it for long. I just wanted enough depth to be able to address it authentically in the book, but I still don't want to look at it as a life thing. But what God explained to me with abuse is that whenever something is misused, you put the wrong sense of value on that thing. So it's you just miss. So God is explaining that, of course, life is continuing. Of course, many people who have been abused and are successful, of course, things continue. Because you have an essential intrinsic value. You have it. But how do you see yourself? What are the things you're struggling with in your mind? What are the reasons why you think there's something wrong with you? Why do you need therapy? Why are you always behaving a certain way? Why do you act crazy and then you realize you act crazy but you didn't know what to do about it? All those things come from a misplaced sense of value. So why would anybody in this world believe that sex is valuable? Tell why. There's no reason. Even in church, the pastors make jokes about it. Like, why is anybody going to believe that there's really something special about keeping your sex? Especially if somebody, when you were small, somebody that you actually love or value, that somebody was supposed to protect you, treated it anyhow. So all these things that we are saying, you will now go and learn a false verse. So we know how to say, oh, don't fornicate and don't have sex. But in our real lives, we're like, well, but my uncle did that, or but my brother did that, or but my daddy did that, or but my pastor did that. So we know how to, it's the same reason why we can say marriage is not a big deal, even while we're desperately seeking this connection. Because we know how to say what we've been told, and it somehow uses the truth of it. So I feel like when something is valuable and somebody messes it up, it affects any other thing in your life that you think is valuable. So I used to be a writer. I'm a writer, but what I mean is I used to see myself as a writer 100%. I didn't have any doubts about it. I still have doubts about it. Because all I wanted to do was be a writer. And then I now wanted to be a singer, dancer. Nobody could tell me when I was younger. I couldn't. You don't understand. I was with Lucy's sister and Mariah Carey. They were my best friends. They were my mentors in life. And one day it's like, well, that's not really valuable. Why is that important? You know, I used to write. I'm like, well, everybody writes. Why is that important? Everything that I thought made me suddenly became unimportant. And so I was like, okay, let me now go and find my value somewhere else. What should I study? Anyway, God helped me. I ended up still studying the English and studying the writing. I don't know how God did that. But every time I was studying, when I was studying English, I felt like that's what I was meant to be. When I did my master's, I felt like that was what I was meant to be. But every time I left, I've collected your certificate. So yeah, what I need to do with your life now? I'm like, well, you know, and for the world, what happens is that the world has this very cunning, the world uses practical knowledge to steal our value from us. Because if I take my writing degree and I take money, man, I don't know. You know, I may rewrite my writing degree as, you know, content creation and marketing. You know, I may I may find a way
Mm.
to let's call it something
Justify.
else,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the world does not recognize this thing I'm seeing intrinsic value. What's intrinsic value? Show me the money, and
Mm.
everything kind of loses. We lose that sense of value. That's
So
and
that,
so it
yeah.
goes into relationships. It goes into the jobs that we choose. It goes into the relationships. It goes into who we're attracted to. So you like somebody because there's something in them that connects with you, but they don't look like the successful person or the rich person or the cultured person that you're expecting or the sexy person. So yeah, everything in you is conflicting.
Distorted.
So you can't make the right choices because you either choose the person who suits the physical or the material needs and neglect the emotional ones, or you choose somebody who fits the emotional needs but does not have anything else, so none of it makes sense. And every relationship counselor is telling you, yes, of course, you know, look for a nice guy, but you have to eat too. And once they say that, you're back to
Yeah, so I think what I'm hearing you say is that the enemy tries to steal from us by using practical things to distort our value system. And I like what you said about how we interpret value. When people don't interpret what we see as valuable, what God says is valuable the right way, it distorts our perception of it. I just want to read this part of your book, page 42. It says, do you remember the first time someone told you you couldn't dance? So you stopped dancing. And now you tell everyone, I don't dance. Like it's a badge of honor. Or the first time someone told you you couldn't make money off your dream. So you stopped dreaming and told yourself you had grown out of your childish dream. And yet, you follow all these people on social media who are successfully making a living out of that same childish dream. Like, I just dropped the book when I saw that. I was like, babe, come and see what I do. Like, it was, because it's true. All the people who follow on social media, they're doing what we dreamt of when we were kids. But the only difference is that they kept on doing it, we left it. You know? So, I don't know, and I feel like the enemy just works better in a few environments, but let's not go there. Let's not go there. You know, so yeah, so yes, you can take it off now. Yeah,
Oh, the internet is acting up today.
Sorry?
Oh, there was a bit of a thing with the internet. So
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, before OG asks a question, there was just something I wanted to, because in our video last week, I think I mentioned it, how I was reading the Lord's Prayer and lead us not into temptation. I was just meditating on that prayer, and I'm like, I want to pray better. Because, you know, if a lot of people are praying and they're not getting answers, so it means that there's a way we're supposed to be praying that we're not praying. So I wanted to really understand. You know, so I went through the study of it, and it came to lead us not into temptation. I'm like, God, like, don't tempt us. So, you know, what's going on? But you allow trials to develop us. So what's the difference between a temptation and a trial? And he was like, a temptation is simply a trial out of the season. So, for example, you can be in JSS3. Your JSS3 exam is a trial because you are prepared for it, you are preparing for it. But a university exam would be a temptation because you are not prepared for it. And I feel like one of the strategies of the devil is for single people who are in one season, he tries to lure them with their desires for things that are available in another season. So if that trial that was supposed to be in your future now becomes a temptation in your season to drag you out. So, for example, you have a lot of single people who want to be married, and their whole desire is to be married. You haven't faced the test of singleness. You already desiring marriage. The enemy will just say, why don't you just get into it? And then that's what was supposed to be a trial. Like, we still go through trials in our marriage. It's not the way. Well, anyway.
Daily, because somebody refuses to press the toothpaste from the bottom.
Yeah, this toothpaste there, I really don't understand. But anyway, so yeah, like I feel like and that's why we're doing this, because I feel like a lot of singles haven't. Babe, you're disturbing me now. Yeah, you're making, yeah, you're disturbing me. Anyway, so I feel like a lot of single people in their season right now are being tempted to just get married because of how it will make them look to their family, to their society, to their friends, but they haven't really dealt with the test in their current season. And that is one thing that the enemy will use to drag you out.
I think you actually made a really valid point. So could it be that you're you didn't press enough from the bottom? So when you're married today, you're coming to frustrate us with more. Anyway.
Wow. Wow.
I didn't see that coming. I thought she was going to say something deep, like, wow. Okay.
Well, you say you walked right into
Babe,
that one. You walked right into it.
You can go on. Thank you.
Okay, so I think one of my favorite chapters of the book was the new rules of dating, because I felt like it was packed with like so many issues that really just really need to be unpacked. So I know okay, one of the paragraphs you talked about how you sort of like had an image of what you wouldn't find attractive.
So I can't see you.
Oh, you can't see me. So
there we go.
Oh wow, okay. This thing is deceiving us. Okay.
I guess. Okay, so you talked about how you, in your conversation before, you realized that you hadn't sort of like surrendered that aspect, the aspect of attraction to God, and you had a very clear image of what you would find attractive.
Mr. Bridgerton, yeah?
So let me just read an excerpt from it. So maybe that was why. Maybe God was waiting for me to surrender my desire to be attracted to my husband. Then I'll find out what he had, find out that he had always been right in front of me, with his oversized trousers belted up to his waist, his short fat tie resting atop his too big short-sleeved shirt, complete with the Jewish Bible in hand, waiting for the eyes of my understanding to be enlightened, so that I will recognize him as the bone of my bone. Now, I found that really interesting, and I guess the question that I want to ask here is, where did that image of what you wouldn't find attractive come from? And where do you, because I know in Christendom, there a lot of Christians, we have that fear as well. And for me, what was specifically interesting was because at that time, you mentioned that you had a friend in a similar situation, sort of like you were paralleling your story with hers, but she got Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome. So why do you feel, okay, we're on this same journey where, as in, we're going, she will get Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome, and I will get Mr. Big Trouser and Big Shirt type thing? Like, where do you think that exactly will be used? So where do you think that disparity, where do you think that comes from, that fear?
I think that fear comes from, like, I guess, disappointment, or, you know, we all have this thing of the ones that didn't work out with tall, dark, and handsome. So if you're going to do it God's way, then God's way will be the opposite of that. So sometimes we play words and opposites in our heads. And it's interesting because it was this same friend of mine who then said, one day I was like, well, what if, you know, we want chocolates, but God knows that broccoli is what our bodies really need. Like, why don't we just switch our mindset and stop looking for chocolates and just want broccoli? And she was listening to me like, okay, this makes so much sense. But then she stopped me halfway and she said, no, I repeat that. God knows when you need chocolates, and God knows when you need broccoli. Because no life is made up of only broccoli. And so God can give you the one that has everything together. A full meal is starter, main course, and dessert. Why do you think that God will only give you the vegetable without salt inside it? You know, and so even though I liked how, because at first she was really thinking to me like, oh wow, wise, and then she was like, no, I rebuke that. It's like, no, that's not the way it is. But it's hard for us to think of deserving. So the way I learned about faith before I went on my own personal journey, it felt like God does good things when he's happy with you, and then he gives you bad things when he's not happy with you. But God has showed me, and I wrote about it in one of these chapters, that that's not true. In fact, it has messed up the way I pray. It has messed up a lot of things. And even though it has messed up the way I pray, God is like, should you still settle down? Continue learning. Because somebody says OG is Spanish. I don't know that's why that's one. But so for me, I've even changed the way I pray. So I don't ask for a lot of things anymore. I don't even bargain a lot anymore. Because I have this sense of, God has my back now. So what am I really discussing? Like, if I beg God 10 times to give me something and he doesn't give me, when I now look back months later, and what happened in my life? Did I die? Did he make God unfaithful? Did he not cover me in so many other ways? And so God is trying to remove that mentality of like blessing and punishment. You do good, you get a blessing. You do bad, you get a punishment. But that's the mentality that I had when I thought about relationships. Your desires came from M and B and from that particular guy you liked and all of this one. So if God is going to remove those desires and give you his own desires, get ready. Because that's scatter it. Because if maybe what I wanted before was that guy with Shokoto one tie, maybe God will now have said, let me reward your good behavior by giving you tall, dark, and handsome. But if you already start bad, then it's doomed.
Right. So we think that is the opposite of what we want that God will give us. I can completely relate to that, and I feel like a lot of people, I mean, in the whole renew your mind thing, I feel like a lot of people feel like, could it be that there are certain things that a certain way that we already think that is already in line with that? So there are certain things that we may not need to necessarily renew our minds, about. But aside from that, yesterday, Muiwa and I were talking about this particular topic, and I feel like a lot of people are scared. Their fear comes from, maybe this was the reality 20 years ago. Because I'm thinking like, I met this uncle, this brother in church. The guy, and his trousers tighter than, and this guy is like wearing his trousers tight. Guy like all of his tops. So I'm like, could it be a lot of our fears were maybe valid 20 years ago, and we haven't necessarily moved on with the times where our fears are still keeping us stuck in the past? Because at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, fine, we're in church. Let's look around church. Like, what really is the percentage of the people in church with their fat ties and fat? So, like, how, like, really?
Those people are already married.
Exactly. Like, a lot of they got married 20 years ago. So, I'm like, really, what's going on? And I realize that is sort of like one way that the devil steals from us as well. Like, keeps us stuck in the past. And there are things that we may have seen that, yes, there was, I wouldn't say an element of truth, but an element of fact, because maybe it happened to one person 10 years ago or whatever, and we've now taken on ourselves that very unrealistic fear based on something that isn't even grounded in facts.
Right. You're so right. I mean, obviously, as we were talking, I was like, where's she getting at? And then I realized, oh my God, you're so right. But a couple of things happened. First of all, we've heard Muiwa's story, so we know that he's the picture of reformed bad boy.
We are getting to that.
That's one. So, and then there was a couple of years ago when there's a certain, I don't want to say it out loud, because if I say it, people now know that that's the person I'm talking about in my book. But there's a certain public figure who was in the music industry, who had a radical transformation.
I already know who you're talking about.
No, it's okay. Let's keep it between. I almost put his name in the book, and then I was like, no, this will be a problem. But the thing is, the moment he started to be so radical, that was the moment it became a problem. Because before, you can tell a bad guy is a bad guy. You know that you were attracted, but you should stay away. But when that super guy full of tattoo and everything starts speaking in tongues, you're like, see, God, you answer prayers now. But, you know, and it gives that idea, which is the Bridgerton mentality. It gives that idea that you can find a bad person who was bad for you, who now changes and is now good.
Good for
and
you.
There
Wow.
are enough of those people who actually exist. We keep that hope of like, no, it's a lie. It's okay. Don't worry. God will change him. God will change him. I've seen somebody who became a pastor. God will change him, and it makes us miss the point, which is that if it's about dressing well, everybody can dress well now. You know, if it's about that grooming, you know, pastors have swag now, but they didn't. You're right. They didn't have swag 15 years ago.
15 years ago.
Wait, but is that a function of? Jeez, I just lost my train of thought.
Of what we think is swag now?
No. Is it possible that we are attracted to people who were once bad and have now become good because that is the kind of transition that we went through as well? Because if there's because I don't know, I'm trying to find what here. Because when you see a good boy, like someone who was good all his life, like maybe Pastor Sam, because I don't know if Pastor Sam ever saying that, but anyway. Someone like that, you know, because he doesn't have any reference point to that or that lifestyle, like could that be the reason why people?
Go on.
Is that better here?
Could that be the reason why?
Yeah, could that be the reason why we're not, a lot of people are not attracted to those seemingly church guys?
Right.
But don't worry. I was just thinking out loud. But don't worry, good.
Okay. I know earlier in the book, what chapter is this? I think Valentine's Day. I'll read another excerpt. I like reading these things. The guys I wanted to marry didn't want to marry me, and I didn't want to marry the one who wanted to marry me. So I know that obviously attraction is a really huge deal for many people. For many Christian people, I mean, it's a big fear, and we've touched on that a bit. So I want you to sort of like expand on what you have said earlier with the chocolate and broccoli situation. And I'm like, I guess my question here is, how important do you think attraction is in the scheme of things to go? And I know there are people that will be like, oh yeah, attraction isn't really that important, and some people like attraction is really important. God will give you someone that you're not attracted to, and that. So can you just, what are your thoughts around that?
Right. Well, I think that attraction is a pointer to something. Like I feel like emotions are pointers to something. Attraction is a pointer, but it's not the last bus stop. It's not the end, and it's not necessarily the substance. So you have to be. It would be if you're 21 and you meet a nice guy and you meet a nice babe or whatever, and you guys are attracted to each other and you get married. I think that's just the easiest way to deal with it. But when you're 34 and you're now having to dissect what exactly went wrong, that all these things come up. And at this point, I feel like recognize it for what it is. So why do I find attractive people attractive? I think it's because of what I see, like what I've been used to. But the truth is, I have many friends who don't care about attraction. I actually have friends. I used to think it was a lie, like, you guys just lie. No, I have friends who don't, like, in choosing their spouse, they never talked about how the person looked before they married the person.
Wow.
Meanwhile, my own is head first. Wow, look at that cute guy. And I was like, what's wrong? One of the things is, I think because my parents, my siblings, they are all attractive. So I don't know, it's just what I'm used to. However, but I think that God will give you who you're attracted to, but I think that God is not obligated to do that. I think that God will first give you what you need. It's like, why is it important? So, for instance, I believe, okay, no, let me be honest. I honestly believe believe that God is going to give me someone who I find like somebody who I think is chocolate that now has broccoli inside. That's what I think.
But not broccoli
That's
outside, but chocolate inside.
No. But I also know that at this point, there are different kinds of things that are attractive to me. So, for instance, like even with my normal physical eyes, there is a personality that I find attractive that sometimes has actually trumped physical attraction. I don't know what that looks like 20 years down the line, or even 2 years down the line when you're waking up in the morning. I don't know what that looks like. But I know that for me, there's a personality that can trump physical, like the symmetry of his eyes or whatever. I know that I found that.
Right.
So I think attraction is important. And God may have to renew your mind. So I'll give you a funny example. There's one guy like this, one of the people that gave me a laugh. One of the reasons why he gave me a laugh, it's not because my face is not fine. It's because there's a certain proportion that he wants non-existent upon my body. And there's nothing I can do. Like, there's nothing. If it was like, okay, you know what, Lord, if I exercise enough, there's no way. It's actually not possible unless I want to augment it. And so for me, because at some point we became friends enough to have this conversation, I was like, right, if I believe so strongly that God will give you what you want, and I don't have this thing and there's no way I can get it, then I must also believe that it's possible that either you will wake up one day and decide that this thing is not important, or you will never like this thing. And so I can walk away and know that it's nothing personal. The same way I can never like certain kinds of people, you can never like this. Either God will change your eye and show you that that's not the most important thing in life, or God will be like, well, I can give you exceedingly and abundantly above all you have to imagine. And so I had to be honest, because this is now somebody who is able to be honest with me. Like, and I'm like, if we're real, I know I can never give you this thing that you desire. There's no. So I can walk away and chest this and say, either I'll now start praying for magical growth, or I'll
no.
You know, so
Mm,
there's a very practical element of attraction. It's practical. But then I also realized that attraction is conditioned. You like it because of something. And it's all mental. And so it can change. But do you want to wait until it changes for somebody else? Probably not. But I don't know. But there is a question though. This is also talking to guys. This one is now to you guys. That guys never, if you like something, you still like that thing. So even if you marry someone who doesn't have that thing, it doesn't change the fact that that's what you find attractive. It's not like your spec changed. It's that your choice changed, which is a myth that, you know, women believe that means the spec changed. You know, that means you now like yellow girls. That means you now like, but it's not that. It's just that your choice changed. And that to me was very humbling. Like, somebody chose to be with somebody that they didn't find that attractive because they found something else that they valued instead. But it means that person knows that they still are getting their full attraction.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay, I want to drill down a bit more, just a bit more into this. So I mean, yesterday again when we were discussing this, I was like, to what extent is the problem that people aren't open to be attracted to something new? They are stuck on wanting to be attracted to what they've always found attractive that didn't necessarily work for them. And I know in the book, I'll read another excerpt. You were talking about guys in your fellowship. And you said, I allowed myself to develop a liking for one of them. He wasn't really my spec, but I had repented of my desires. So that was evidence that God was finally pleased with me. And yes, I know I said my heart was closed until God opened it, but this was fellowship. So that was his go ahead, right? So I guess the question here is, okay, you mentioned that it wasn't your spec, but that you allowed yourself to develop a liking for him. So as in, I guess I want to understand what that what that process is, because a lot of people make it seem like if I'm not attracted to this person, I can never like this person, nothing can ever come of it. So this seems to be sort of like the opposite of that. So what did that look like for you? How did you get there? How did you make it possible?
Right. So the first confession about that is that the person was still attractive.
Right.
The person was just
Right.
not the whole spec.
Mm.
So before holding on to spec to the level that I wanted to hold on to spec for, there was a way, for some reason, maybe because my dad is light skinned, I was like, I want dark skin, let's mix it up. So I wanted someone who was dark skinned, someone who was really tall, so talk like, and my thing is, because I have 4 brothers and my dad, so it's like these 5 men around me. So I want someone taller than most of my brothers, because one brother is really tall. I wanted a dark guy, I wanted a built guy, I wanted something, still somebody who is fine, but somebody who looks different from my brothers and my father.
Mm.
And so that was the picture I drew for myself. And I did meet a couple of people like that. But this, so the first thing I had to drop, the biggest thing, was height.
Mm.
In my mind, I'm 5'10" in my mind. And so I want somebody who is starting at 6 feet. So that I'm upward.
Like the other 2 billion women in the world want.
Exactly. But the thing is, what happens in fact, what does that do for you? It was such a stronghold. It was such a strong. I didn't even realize how much of a stronghold it was until end of 2019, when I think somebody sent me a message, and I was like, this person is a nice person, but I never even saw him. Like, somebody was actually like hitting me up in my DMs. That was a decent guy. I didn't see, like, I went and read the DMs, and I realized that every time people try to shoot a shot, I'll be like, oh, thanks. God bless. I was like, oh.
Wow.
Somebody was actually trying to talk to me. I couldn't see it.
Wow.
And so I was like, God, please break this thing off me so that I can see, because this person has such a good heart. That was the prayer I prayed. Now, my husband can end up being tall. That was not God's issue. God's issue is that heart, that blindness that you just have because the guy is not 6 feet. Like, somebody can be taller than me and I'll call the person short. That used to happen. Because my mind, literally, there's a guy who was maybe like 6'3", who had been my friend for a while. I promise you, I don't know how this one happened. This one is blind, physical blindness. And he tried to talk to me 1 year. We stopped talking, and then maybe a couple of years later, I was still like at the end of uni. The guy tried to talk to me again, and one day I was like, "You're tall." He was like, "Yes." I was like,
wow.
Notice that you're taller than me.
You're actually tall.
And he was confused because I hung out with this person. I was like, I thought you were like here. He's like, I'm a top, like, yes, like 6'2", and I'm 5'6".
Wow.
I couldn't see it. So I was like, sometimes there's just a picture, and I promise you, it came from Will Smith and Jada. That's where it came from, and I know it. I think God has been doing this to me, so I can let it go.
Wow.
And it's not that big a deal. So I feel like now I can recognize an attractive person. I can always recognize an attractive person, but sometimes I blank them. Or I used to blank them. I don't blank them. But it was one of those tough things because my brothers are taller than me. Everybody is taller than me. And so I had that. So my expectations were wired. And every single romance novel, the guy is over 6 feet tall. Every romance novel, every one I ever read. Beauty and the Beast, same. Everybody, they're all tall. So I had that.
So that means this image of thing is because I was listening to a Miles Monroe message today, and he was talking about men and sex, and he was talking, and the first question he asked was like, how did you hear about sex? Like, when was the first time you heard about it? And everyone was like friends, magazine, movies, blah blah blah. And after going about 20 guys, he said that none of them were qualified to teach you about sex. You have taken information from someone who is not qualified to give it, and you have made it fact. So I feel like this image that we have in our heads, Hollywood is where the devil it brings all these things. But like you just said, Beauty and the Beast, everyone was Paul, everyone was this. You know, everybody, it's like he's trying. And like you said, you miss, by the time somebody doesn't fit the picture you have in your mind. The same thing happened with her. She was in fellowship. And as soon as I entered fellowship, I just said, there's no yellow girl here too. My wife is not here.
I
Let's keep
don't
it moving.
understand. She's so young, though.
As in, what? Please don't do that. Don't do that, please. Her parents have been saying this is yellow. I'm like, this is yellow. This is not yellow. You are
were looking. I mean, the way tall for her started at a certain number.
True. I didn't see like
as in yellow the person yellow.
But there was something I wanted to bring out because page 47, you're talking about how when I begged God to let me just be with this guy, I actually said, please let me be with him even if I get hurt. But please don't let me get hurt too bad. But God didn't even allow that. And then there was something he said, so I thought, how far away from God must I be to desire something that he won't even allow? So I like the connection you made there, like, because God has his own desires for us. We have our own desires. So if our desires aren't matching what God desires for us, is that an indicator of the kind of relationship we have with him?
So for me, that moment it's a moment I keep going back to learn about God when everything looks kind of opposite. So we talk about how God allows a lot of things. In fact, I used to have this argument with many people. How can you tell me that God can allow you to make a mistake, then also tell me all the times when God snatched you from a mistake? It doesn't seem consistent for the nature of God to one day allow you to run across the road and let the car hit you. Then another day, he will snatch you before the car hits you. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. The closest I got to it was that perhaps that there are some relationships that can break you, and there are some that can just, rough you up a bit. In the years later, what God explained to me about that particular relationship was that there are proclivities that guy had and weaknesses that he was dealing with that paired with someone like me would have crushed me. But paired with someone else, they have the strength to help each other. So he wasn't saying that, oh, this person is a bad person. He was saying that this person, the way he is and the way you are, you like each other, but it will kill something in you in a way that you can't recover from that. But this person that is like, for instance, imagine someone who has the tendency to, let's say something random like violence, right? Someone who maybe when they're angry, they punch things or they mistakenly hit you. And you have a babe who maybe they used to brush each other in their house growing up. So she recognizes domestic violence and she doesn't take certain things. But if you brush her, she can brush you back and push you. And that one is, we quickly squash it. The guy will wake up. We keep praying. We keep moving. It's not condoned. But when he has those outbursts, she's able to cover it and he'll snap out of it, As opposed to somebody who, nobody used to touch me. No, but why you touching me? I don't even know you used to beat me. I'm sorry. They beat my brothers.
But never, yeah.
Somebody does like this to me, my soul is crushed. That kind of analogy was what God was showing me, that he doesn't condone the weaknesses, but he pairs people who are able to, hold each other up and help each other through certain kinds of weaknesses. And that there are some things I'm strong enough to carry that some people cannot deal with. I recognize that. But there are some things that, this one will kill you. And but then God doesn't always explain these things to us. I asked for years this question, because I talked about this in the book, how there was another relationship that I said, God, this relationship is bad for me. Help me stop liking him. And I stopped liking him like this. And I said, it's a lie. It's a lie. It's not possible. The same guy. No, I can't stop liking him. And I worked my way
back. Are you kidding?
And he hurt me.
So what would you say your relationship was like with God at the time? Because I feel like there are a lot of single people right now, they are held on to that stronghold image in their minds. And the story that comes to my mind was Samuel going to anoint one of Jesse's kids. Right. And when he got there, he looked at Eliab and he's like, this must be the guy. But because of the kind of relationship we had with God, it was still moldable, where He could still change to say, okay, maybe this is not what this is not what God is wanting, but this is what God wants. So is it possible that if I'm trying to say to people as Samuel just looking at Eliab and be like, this is who I want and this is who I want, and they would have missed, and they would have missed.
I know I'd have missed David. David is short.
So our next question is, what was your relationship like with God then versus now? Like, do you think you were chummy with God at the time when you still desired these things?
Right. Yes.
Or maybe not you,
but
like single people in general.
Right. So one thing I've noticed about myself in hindsight, especially when I was writing this book and when I was going back to my childhood memories, is that it's like there's always been a voice in my head. And I realized more and more that was God when I decided to start to engage God. But I have all these random moments of, I'm in my first year and I'm praying about a guy, like, why? I know what I want. I'm trying to get what I want. Why was this consciousness there? So I can't take away from the fact that there was a consciousness. And my mom used to pray, but I was just like, I think God found a way to hook me somehow. Because I always used to refer to this voice in my head. And I used to feel sometimes like it was God and sometimes not. You know, it was just like you can dismiss it, but you're aware that you can pray. I don't know why I believe that I could pray and God would hear me. But I did. So I wasn't chummy with God like that. But I remember, like, I'll be going to a club and be saying, hey, this guy is speeding and he's drunk. Lord Jesus, please don't let us have an accident. And I'm praying for real, though. I'm not praying like God of Jesus. I'm praying for real. And then I'm like, thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord. And then I go back to the guy's house or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would still do all the stupid things, but I was aware that there was God. So the reason why I decided to confront God was because I compared those two scenarios. I begged you changed my heart. It's me that entered. But I begged you here and you didn't allow me the same way I wanted you to allow me then. And I was like, why? Why? That was literally a consistent question. Because I was like, why? This person is nicer. This person likes me too. Everything could have worked. You could have changed something. Why? And that why was what made me decide, okay, Lord, let's sit down. Let's start talking. Maybe this one of I whisper to you once a year is not enough. Maybe you have something to teach me. But I still thought that all you do is talk to God some more. You appease him. You'll be like, okay, cool. We're now G's. Okay, cool. You can have him. So that's what I thought I was doing. That's actually what I thought I was doing. I thought I was saying, okay, I've annoyed you. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, let's be friends. I thought that's what I was doing. And the more I went on the journey, the more he was like, this is not going to be about relationship at all. I was like, no, you're just joking. You're just joking. I'm about to be married, so show me the next guy. Show me. And yeah, so that relationship with God thing, I don't put it on myself. This is one huge thing. With the amount of intentionality that I did put in the last 10 years, I'm not taking that away. But I don't think that was what it was, because God had to hook me in the way that I would want to be hooked. There was no amount of reading the Bible that would have helped me if I wasn't interested. So I was finally looking for something that I believed he could help me with. So he found what used to hook me. And then I went and realized it was not about marriage after all.
It was more about life, yeah.
I feel like for most people, even if they're going to church all the time and they know how to quote the Bible, and if God doesn't find, if they don't allow themselves to be hooked, if there's nothing that actually hooks them, they will learn how to say the words, but their behavior will continue to be contradictory.
Wow.
Yes. Okay, so when in the you don't know how to receive love chapter, you said something, I was a
It's still painful. It's still painful.
I was a brick wall, but I didn't realize it. I knew how to communicate and I enjoyed talking. So because I appeared to be open, I didn't realize that I was incredibly guarded. Now, I feel like this is a really important point, but I feel like a lot of people are on either side of the spectrum. I know one of the ways the devil uses to deceive people, did God really say? So on the one hand, there's the Bible that's asking us to guard our heart and all of that. So there are those on one spectrum that are like all walls up, like guns blazing, like nobody's getting in here, the lions are out and all of that. There are those on the other end of the spectrum. Obviously, like the Bible encourages us to be vulnerable, to be open and all of that. Those ones that are like no walls, like everybody's coming, we love you, no matter what we are seeing, we accept you, crush us, we like you, get up, we like you, like. So I guess what I want to ask is, in your opinion, where do you, like, where does one draw the line between sort of like all walls down and erecting certain boundaries?
Right. So, I think that when we have desires that we haven't admitted we have, whatever we think we built there is probably cardboard. Because if for instance, like if one tall, fine, maybe muscly, maybe slightly tattooed guy still walks up to me today, I don't know. I may still be a bit like, Father Lord, we've dealt with this, we've been here, like, because there is a proclivity to something. Now, if I had never admitted to myself that this was a potential blind spot, there will be no barricade there, no matter how much I try to act like. So it's like sometimes you're talking to a guy, or you're talking to a guy, and you think you're forming for the guy, but the guy knows that you have already drilled. It's because you're using the same things you use for a guy you don't like, for a guy that you like. So you're exposing yourself and you're not even aware. I feel like self-awareness is what lets you know what is already open, what gate is open. And sometimes self-awareness comes after you've made a couple of mistakes in your life. The other thing though is that I feel like when God talks about guarding our heart, I remember I had a dream about it in the middle of like 2017 when I was having this intense period with God. I had a dream where I had a diary and I was holding the diary to myself, but I was sleeping in the living room. And so every time someone walked in, I was worried that, I would fall asleep and then my grip would loosen and then they'll take the diary and they'll be able to read it. And in the whole dream, I kept moving. So I moved from the bedroom, I moved from the living room to the bedroom. But even in the bedroom, I was still lying down on my bed holding it. And then people were in my room, so I still felt like if I ever fall asleep, I'm still at risk. And then I just woke up at some point, put the diary in my wardrobe, locked the wardrobe, and then I could sleep. And I was like, what does that mean? And God was saying, you can't guard your heart. What you do is you give it to me. Then you trust that I have it.
Wow.
Because the more you try to do it, you won't know when your guard will slip. You don't know the intention of people around you. You have to be trusting circumstantial situations. And so I was like, God, but what does that look like in real life? And he said, trust me. Trust what I say. Trust where I lead you. Trust me. It's like if you put your money in the bank. Trust the bank and walk away. Don't put your money under your bed and say you're guarding your heart. It doesn't work that way. And so God takes care of the vulnerability because he's saying, I told you to go and expose yourself. So the reason why he said that to me was because I was on that journey of going to go and meet the person that I said I should meet and tell the person that God said that he's my husband. And God was like, look, this is unusual. You have no idea why I'm taking you on this journey. But trust me that I am covering you so that whatever you say or do, he can't shame you because I sent you. And that's how we actually worked out until the end, literally until the end. God is like, you cannot catch shame because you know who sent you on this message. Now, if it's not God, then that's when you're on your own. That's when you're taking your own risky life. But God was like, you know it is me. You know. it may seem crazy, but you know it is me. That's why when you called, he did not shame you. When you people hung out, there was no shame in the entire. I can't even explain this thing. There was no shame in the entire process. The only shame was the people around me who were catching shame on my behalf. But between this person and me, the amount of respect this guy gave me, I could not believe it. It didn't work out to me, but he respected me the whole time. Now, compare that to somebody else who was even toasting me, asking me out. But then that one, all the shame in the world because I wasn't meant to be there. You know, like, so he went through the whole process. Yeah, you pursue whatever you want to pursue, you know. But at the end of it, you're ashamed because you're like exposed yourself to somebody who just
somebody that wasn't
didn't send you there. So in the end, even with all these things with our walls and your wall is only as good as what you're aware you're blocking off. Where do you know the next attack is coming from? What do you know about life? You can only erect a wall after something has already hurt you, in which case the wall is probably now useless. So,
wow, that was deep. Because whatever you value, or the things that we value, we put in the bank. So our heart is our valuable asset, so we need to keep it in God's bank. Like, wow, that was deep. Where did that come from, please? I don't understand.
I promise you, I literally had a dream and woke up, and at the end of the dream, I felt that I should write it on Instagram. This was really weird. And then it was as I was writing the caption that I understood what it was.
Wow. Deep. Okay. We're almost done. We just have, I think, 2 more questions.
Okay, so when you talked about hearing God, you talked about your list, right? And you talked about how you wrote up to about 70 items on that list. So I know a lot of people are usually like, oh, could your list be the reason why you're still single? And they say it from the point of view that a lot of people have unrealistic stuff on their list. But we take a situation like yours where you sat down with God and you guys together wrote out that list. And you wrote something, one thing that you mentioned here was that one of the...
breaking up a bit.
Is it better now? I think it's just the connection issue.
I can hear that you're talking, but there's still this
thing,
timer thing on your screen.
Yeah.
Okay,
We can try now.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know.
Better?
Now. Okay, I think it's clear now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So you had written someone who has a respectful relationship with his dad, not because it has always been perfect, but because he has gone through his rebellious phase and has come out of it. So I guess my question here is, when you meet the guy, right, in your opinion, or from your experience, or however, when you meet the guy, what percentage of the list should he be able to take off? At the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what if you meet him when he's still going through his rebellious phase, but now maybe after you get married, that he has that respectful relationship with his dad? Like, when you are faced with the guy and faced with the lady, what percentage, or is there anything like that? Anything for what percentage of the list he takes off and stuff like that?
Right. So, okay. So when I wrote this list, God should be perfect. I felt like God was sitting down over me and going, write it. And I was like, but, and what the list did for me was it exposed my heart. But I think it was also the beginning of me seeing God being literally prophetic in a way. Because so in my relationship with God now, when I pray or have conversations with God, I realize that what I'm doing is I drop my own, then I can hear what he has to say. So that's what ended up being that 70 item. That's why it was that. You know, it was that long also because I think God would just show me the day, because it could have probably been a 500, item list. But I realized that from like that number where I said somebody who has a good relationship with his dad, but not just because they attended that. Like that detail was more like a prophetic prayer.
Right.
And so that was what was happening. So what I did was I dropped the ones on my heart. You know, like I'll see this one.
I was like,
I recognize that.
I was like, this is not nice now. What's happening here? Like, I thought it was coming from here.
Wow. But yeah, so I dropped the things on my heart. So I started to pretend to myself because I was trying to be good. I was trying to be, you know, I was trying to be a good Christian girl. I said I wasn't going to do the things I was doing before. So I was like, even if I liked somebody who was fine, why would I put fine on a godly list? On a godly list, all you need is he's God-fearing. That's all you need. So I had come down to that place where I was lying to myself that if I say often enough that I don't want anything except somebody who loves God and loves me, then I will believe it. Because, you know, you declare it now, and as you declare, so it will be. And so God was like, then God started to show me people. God would be like, look at that guy. Don't you think he's fine? I'll be like, what does fine have to do with anything, God? All I want is somebody who loves God and loves me. God is saying, but that guy, he's acting like, you know, you like that thing. I'm like, all I want is somebody who loves God and loves me. And so he was like, you're lying. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to me. I don't like that guy. You know, like, you know when you drive and then you see someone in the car, you're like, oh, like, he's cute, right? I'm like, no, he's not cute. And so what God was doing was he was getting me to admit the things I liked. That way, I could admit the things that were silly. I could admit the things that were relevant. I could admit the ones that, well, I wanted to, but I know it's not by force. I could put everything on the line. And after I put everything on the line, I found out that what God was adding were descriptions of, this is what it, so somebody who has a relationship with his dad is going to have had issues because that's how,
Yeah, so there's about to be three of us.
Yeah, so,
okay, no, you can carry on. We are getting a surprise.
But yeah, so I found that it gave me the freedom to talk about my reformed bad guy, talk about the, you know, the birthday. I had birthday that I liked. I had the one that sounds nice. Because I got really into like star signs and stuff. Aww. I got into star signs and stuff, so I knew the one that I wanted to try. I knew all those kinds of things, and so God was trying to basically get me to dump the things that I had built up in my own head, and then give me the ones that He wanted for me. And so all those things ended up in the list. His own plus my own. Yeah. Who is this fine boy? Fine boy. That's my steak. That's my steak.
So final question, because one of the things that really got me in this, because personally I've been asking God for a description of love, because I feel like love is something that means different things to different people. So I've been asking God, like, you know, this 2 Corinthians 13 or 1 Corinthians 13, description of love, like, how do I make it tangible? How do I describe it in a way that everybody will understand it? And I feel like you literally hit the nail on the head. Like this, I dropped the book as soon as I read this. Like, he said, I believe love can be defined as value. The value God places on us, the value we place on ourselves, and the value we place on the people around us. And you know, I said, value is measured by sacrifice. For me, value has always been about sacrifice, because whenever I look for a definition of something, I go to the Bible first. So, God so loved the world that He gave, He sacrificed. So, but love is value, and whatever you value, you would sacrifice for. So I feel like one of the foundational things that single people need in this season is the rediscovering their values, right? So as a final question for you now is, how were you able to rediscover your value?
Right.
Because that's the foundation that every other thing sort of gets built on. Because
Yes.
I feel like when like the whole chat right now has been sort of symptoms, like leaves or branches, but the roots, if you change all those things but don't change the roots, you will still produce bad fruit.
Yes.
So yeah, so how was your own transformation like?
I love that because I get so I still get emotional when I allow myself to sit down and think about God teaching me what love meant. There's a way with God where God has shown me in my bad, He does not go anywhere. There's something about that feeling. I think that what God did with me was, okay, so I'm a bit of a control freak. God, I'm a recovering control freak. And so what God did was the idea of I can talk to God and God can talk to me. It wasn't about romance and being romantic. It was about knowing stuff. It was about so maybe you can give me the MO and then I will know. Then I will now just know. I'm a bit of a know it all as well. So that was, God drew me in. And so, but then once I started being able to hear God and realizing that God, as in that God in the sky, is speaking with me about my lipstick, about giving me dreams, just like He just feels like hanging out with me. I think that was the first thing that twisted me. That so you're waiting for somebody to call you. The person does not want to call you on the phone. Then God is listening with you about. Oh, I like your earring. I don't understand. God likes my earring, And so it started to. I remember this time when I was spending a couple of months by myself, and I was like, oh, but God, I want someone who. So you want someone who what? Like fill in the gaps. I was like, well, okay, if we remove sex, let's say someone who makes me feel special, someone I can come home to and say, oh, do you like this dress? And literally, it was like this mental conversation where God is like, ask me. I was like, this weird show. What was all this? Ask me that, do I like your dress? So I started doing that. And thankfully, I was alone. So when I was mad. Like, oh, okay, I like this top. What do you think? And I was actually feeling like God. Like, it was like Jesus was like in my kitchen, being like, no, that tastes nice. So, no, put that pepper inside. And that, I had such a sense of importance. I felt like, God likes me. Who do you think you are? I had that. So it started from inside. At the same time, I still had this desire. So I was still like, okay, you like me. Now, bring the person, And God is like, wait now. Like, you're still just, it's like, what's happening now? And so that's how God warmed it up for me. Any of this one of you need to hear God for your purpose and for your destiny. I can't hear you. But the one of God liked me enough to be giving me gist. So so prophecy for me was God can tell me something about somebody else. Like God can come and say, let me give you gist. This guy did this. That's what it was for me. So that feeling is where it started. And so when I started liking God, I started liking this guy that's talking to me. When somebody you like starts telling you to do certain things, you already like them. So you now start. So when I'm fighting to obey, it's like, now, but it's like, but you're my guy now. So I just call that person, just do this, and it started from there. And so when God started to tell me things, when I started to like quit I quit so many jobs. When those things started to happen, God was like, no, but I got you now. Like, you can quit your job because I got you, as opposed to quit your job or your destiny is on the line. And so that was when I started. And so I quit my job. Why? There's a hunger I can't explain. I want to write. I've always wanted to write. Why didn't I write? And God is like, okay, now let's write. But writing will not bring me money. Don't worry, I'll give you money. That doesn't seem practical. In this world, you need money. And don't worry, I'll cover you. How do I trust that you're actually going to give me money? Because money does not come from heaven. Everybody tells you there are principles of wealth. It's like, I will cover you. Then I go 6 months without a job and I'm covered. Then I go another year and I'm covered. He's like, oh yeah, write the book now. But you know, we're not really sure. Okay, what else do you need me to do to show you that I will actually take care of you? And so God started, I think it's at the money juncture that God started to really enter. And that's why he started to remind me of all the things I'd ever wanted to do. Reminded me that I wanted to be a writer. Reminded me that I wanted to be like, I was in film for a while, but I never acted. He was like, no, you don't want to just be a person producing. You wanted to act. I was like, no, we're not acting. We're not acting. You know? And so God started to show me and tease me and tempt me with the things that I used to like. The things I really used to like in the past. I mean, I like talking, but I used to act like I was quiet. I don't know who I was fooling. So he was like, do live chats. And I started doing live chats. And I realized that I wasn't really nervous. I was nervous before I started, but I would always just keep going. So I like talking now. So he started to tease me with the things that I already naturally like doing. And he showed me the impacts. Like people started to respond to my live chat. People started to respond to the things I said. He was like, this is the writing thing. This is the writing thing. This is, he just kept gently trying to show me that there's something in this writing that you left. That's probably the thing that you need more than anything else that you've tried to create. And I'm finding that my choice, my ability to choose to be who I was really meant to be from the beginning is tied to me knowing myself better. And so in knowing myself better, I can tell better what kind of person I want to date. Because I can tell the person who likes me, the writer who does not know what she's doing, versus the person who wants start your business, structure your business. Not because that's not a good thing, but because that's not the first thing for me. That's not the foundation for me. Has to be myself, then create the structure, not create a structure, then find out how you know. And God showed me that there was a relationship I was in last year, and I felt like this person understood the external, but could not go through the journey with me of finding this myself. And that became the reason why it didn't work, not because of anything else. I was like, you're losing who you are in this relationship. And so God showed me that everything was just tied to everything. And the truer I am to myself every day, the more likely I will be able to recognize the right person for me.
Wow.
Because that person will honor the thing about myself that God honors. That person will value that thing as well.
Wow. Thank you. Like, there's been a lot of gems dropped in this live, man. Like, geez, this is a lot. So, so we just want to thank you for your time. Thanks so much for sharing and being so open and vulnerable. I think that's one thing that I love about the book is that you're very open, you're very vulnerable, you're very like, this is me, take it, kind of thing. And you really, because I feel like a lot of people connect to vulnerability because they can relate with it, So how can people get your book?
Well,
someone was asking for an ebook. Is there an ebook?
Available on Okada books and Amazon.
Okada books and Kindle as well. So you can get it on Kindle, you can get it Amazon all over the world, and in Nigeria it's with Roving Heights. They deliver all over Nigeria.
Okay.
So yeah, you can get it anywhere. So Amazon, you guys Roving Heights.
So follow Omotayo as well. Omotayo, I just wanted to do one thing real quick. Can you scroll up the comments, pick one person? Just pick one person, and we're going to do a giveaway. We're going to get one person that joined us and has stayed up until this point. Just give them...
Right, somebody can start.
Just pick a name.
I'm going to scroll to the top because this pick a name thing, somebody will now say I'm wicked. Okay, so the first person who joined after me is Miss Neoma. Is she still here?
Okay, the person has to be here. So, Miss Neoma, are you still here? If you message, then you get it. If not, we go to the next person. I want someone that is still right.
That's still here.
Is still here.
Okay, seems like she's not. Alexis Upabia. That's the next person.
Alexis, you here? I think maybe just scroll, just pick.
Okay, so let's see. No, I want it to feel like there's a method, you know.
There's a method. Okay, no, she isn't.
There's happiness. Happiness 6161. No.
No.
Okay, Jason Toby.
Samantha doesn't want beef. She doesn't want beef, man. Just pick anybody.
That Jason Toby, no answer. Okay. So where would I go to now? Because that's like 5 names. Okay, let me go to the middle.
Yeah.
Middle. Queen Glee.
Queen Glee, you still here? What? You still here?
Is Queen Glee here? Because I've not moved. I've not moved from my things. So I can't tell.
Can't see Queen Glee. I don't think Queen Glee is still
Okay,
here.
so how about Ellen Gwe? ELENGW.
Ellen Gwe. People are just come to me. Ah man, where are these guys? You know what? They are not here. Ifan is here. Ifan.
Yeah, let me see. Let me try.
You know, let's. There are people who have said we're here. Let's reward their faith. Let's reward their faith. So any one of them who have said I'm here, just pick one of them.
Let me see. Let me see from I'm here.
Hey, and Queen Love says this live was unplanned, but I'm happy I stayed. Who is that?
Okay, no, I'm going to do something random. I'm going to open the book and I'm going to pick a number. And whoever picks that thing, whoever is close to that number.
Oh, yes. How are you gonna? Okay, right? let's okay.
Let me pick a random number between 90 and 100. I've picked the number, so tell me whoever is closest to that number.
93.
You can't win it.
Between 90 and 100, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so pick a number between 90 and 100. And
so you want
number that I
so you want people to start typing in numbers? Okay, so you guys just start typing in numbers.
Type in numbers.
Between somebody pick that.
That's actually better. That's yeah, that was.
Okay, we have a winner.
Who is that?
The first person to type 90 was Felicious. And my number was 90.
Hey, are you kidding me? Okay, Felicious. FEHINTIOUS. Yeah.
Okay, Felicious, just quickly send us a DM, right?
Send us a DM with your details. I guess we can do ebook now. Ebook would be much.
Yeah, we'll just contact us now and then we'll sort out the logistics.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much, Omotayo.
Thank you so much.
It's available everywhere. I went on Amazon, got it. It was on my doorstep 2 days later. So it's very easy. The ebook as well. Everybody's on lockdown right now. Read it. You need to know how to be single. There's a reason for the season. Make sure you get that reason. So thank you so much, guys, for joining in as well. Have an awesome weekend. Take care.
Bye.
Say bye.
Bye. Bye to my spec. My spec.
My skills. That's his spec. All right, take care. Have a good one.
Right,
bye, guys. Thanks for joining, and check. This will be available on YouTube tomorrow, I believe. So check it out.